Afternoon, David.
You want to stick up the Facebook comments?
Yeah.
I've got so many tabs open at the moment.
Okay. Here we go. I've got a post here with Rishi Sunak and Jeremy Hunt, 2 pictures underneath the American flag. I'm still not up yet with Facebook.
Aye, that's Brexit. A big factoring company snubbing London for New York, says senior economist.
Right. Not up yet with Facebook. There we go. Let's just turn that down. Right. Waiting on comments coming through.
Hi, Ali.
Hi, Steve and Ali. Hi, guys.
So, they're rushing in the door now.
You do the YouTube ones, I'll do the Facebook or whatever.
The odd one or two, they know who they are.
Ian Matheson, Doug Copley, there's all that. Gary Forbes, Tina Chalmers, Pete Duggan, Christina McKee, Mark Browntree, Helen Johnson, Melanie McKee.
I'll give a few people a shout out and all. Okay. Hey, Art Rolfus, Stuart Laird, George, Ewan, Rosemary Cuthbert, Jim Stevens, Brian Cunningham. Happy birthday, Lenny. Hi, Margaret. Eddie. Harry. How's things, Harry? Hi, Alison. Akis.
Was that our police officer friend, or retired police officer friend, Harry? Is that what you're on about?
Aye, it'll be Harry, aye. Harry McQueen, aye.
Interesting chap. Interesting stories. Tell you now.
Cracking stories. Yeah.
I could spend a long time listening to Harry. Honestly, when he talked about that with doing the drug squad stuff, that was good.
Anyway, seems to be plenty of people on board, so I guess we better get started. A lot to talk about this week, is there no?
I think we better, yes.
Hey, so let's start with Tartan Week. What do you make of the UK government showing up at Tartan Week?
Well, all I can say is I like to wear a jacket with a wee bit of tartan on the collar. That, you know, that might suit certain people. You know what I mean? A wee bit or above the pocket, the breast pocket. Yes, you know. But as far as
we're friends of the programme, Ruth Watson. He tried to actually get people wear tartan to work day once a month, a Thursday, but it didn't catch on. I was going to get pictures of me stood in the tail lift with my kilt on. I thought that might be a good idea.
You could do your standing over the upward breeze holding down the kilt. Yeah, that was actually.
Anyway, as you know, Angus was to be shepherded by a junior Scotland office minister, and that's the reason why the UK government's there. They're deciding to crack down on Scotland's international image. They're trying to wipe the name Scotland from the international map. Right. James Cleverly has said that they should be denied or they should be chaperoned by an embassy official, and any mention of independence should be relayed to Westminster, because the Constitution's not a devolved matter, so Scottish ministers are not allowed to talk of such things on the international stage. Of course, we know Angus Roberts and Topical Chat are here, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Lord Frost also stuck his boot in and said that
as part of the UK offering was Scott.
Sorry, David. Apologies for that. It was me.
But anyway, Lord Frost has said that Scottish ministers should be stripped of any diplomatic responsibilities whatsoever and should be shackled to Holyrood, and they should not be given access to the UK's international assets, such as embassies. So now would be a good time to run the tape. David, I've got two of you. I'll get rid of one of you.
Right.
And put up Angus.
Yeah, okay. Here he is. He's in there now. So, hang on.
He's in there. That's you. It's in there.
Wrong one, isn't it? Hang on. Let's see if I get this. Is that one? Sorry, mate. There you go.
Right. Now, take it back to the start of this particular section. This was him in the Constitutional Committee. We were asking about how the UK represents Scotland on the international stage. So here we go.
Ready?
So if my remaining remarks are critical, I want to recognise the genuine efforts of many UK representatives overseas to promote Scottish interests. On more than one occasion, the Scottish identity has frequently been diluted as part of a UK offering, with Scotland's distinctive brand not always promoted strongly or systematically. If I may, Mr. Wish, I'd like to give two examples, both illustrating a different dimension. The first is at the St Andrew's Day celebrations in Paris last November. St Andrew's Day and Burns Nights are key moments in the calendar to promote trade and investment opportunities in Scotland, as well as our cultural and our educational strengths. In full awareness that the Scottish Government was organising with FCDO colleagues a joint St Andrew's Day event to promote premium food and drink production from Scotland in the residence of the British Ambassador in Paris, to be hosted by a Scottish Government minister, the Scottish office insisted on hosting their own, much smaller event at the residence on the same day. My officials were forced to move our joint event with the embassy to accommodate the Secretary of State for Scotland. This risked reputational damage, not only for our joint event, but also collectively for the British Embassy and the many Scottish businesses our event was designed to support. The only body politicising this event was the Scotland Office, whose actions are distinctively political, demonstrating a small-minded determination to score constitutional points, rather than advocating for or supporting Scotland, and thereby the UK internationally. Secondly, and for purely political reasons, Lord offered, the junior minister in the Scotland office, revealed private comments he claimed had been made by the Icelandic Prime Minister about Scotland. Such conduct undermines Scotland's interests and our international reputation. It's undiplomatic and it is impolite. This suggests to me that there is an emerging pattern of active undermining of Scottish interests overseas in the pursuit of a rather transparent and narrow-minded political agenda. So despite the genuine efforts of many FCDO officials around the globe, the evidence your committee has received from such bodies as the NFU Scotland, Scottish Chambers of Commerce and the Scotch Whisky Association indicates that the UK government currently does not do enough to promote Scottish interests and our distinct strengths. It also suggests that it would not take much to put this right, though of course I can think of a much better way in the long term of doing just that.
Right, you can get rid of him.
There you go. If you could actually... The people in Scotland, if they knew what was actually going on in their name, what they're paying for, they'd go blooming.
And now Hamza Youssef is the worst health secretary since devolution, but it looks like he's going to go upwards. In any other line of work, Hamza Youssef would have been sacked, not promoted. Forget the
video, David. Switch that up.
Well, I don't know about anybody else deciding.
I take it that was following on for Angus Robertson there, and you forgot to switch it up.
What my bloody computer was trying to do was actually restart. So sorry about that.
Well, anyway, need to get a grip of that if we're going to put video clips up. Talk about video clips, YouTube, not to YouTube. No copyright on that. Yep. None. It's in the Common Select committees and it's open to the public. It's no copyrighted. Okay. Yep. So, as Angus is pointing out, the UK government is actively trying to undermine Scotland, its people, its voice, trying to shackle its ministers and what they can and can't talk about. And this is a bloody outrage to democracy. And thankfully, Mr. Youssef and the excellent Alan Smith, who's the international man down the road at Westminster, have basically told them to go and bow their head. We'll talk about what we want, with who we want. If you don't want to give us access to your embassies, big deal. We'll get 79 trade enclaves and the biggest economies in the world ourselves. We can talk to people without use. Simple as that. But at the heart of this, David, as we know, is a fundamental attack on Scottish democracy, on our parliament, and on our peoples. Because if we can't raise our voice to be heard internationally, then we can't sell our goods.
Yeah.
The regular economy.
What they're actually doing is that they're trying to destroy Nicola Sturgeon, Peter Morrell, her husband,
Oh, we'll get that, man.
and by extension destroy the SNP. In the
Let's move on to trying to destroy the SNP thing. Wow, what a shit show we've had in the press this week, eh?
Yeah.
Wow. Couldn't they pin Peter last week, so now they're going to have to nick her this week? They're screaming that she should be suspended from the party.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to due process? Innocent until found guilty.
Exactly.
Now, what we're seeing here is a repeat of what happened to Mr. Sam. I don't know why you bring this up, but we have to have a comparison. Right. What's happening here is we get an absolute repeat of what happened to Mr. Salmon. They feared him when he was out of office, so they trash his reputation, and they're doing the same thing with Nicola.
Yeah.
Now, what they've done is they've dragged up a video to her address in the NEC in 2021 telling them that the Scottish Party finances were robust. Now, you and I have seen the accounts in 2020, 2021, and we know that the party's accounts were robust. Working capital at the time was 260,000, and total capital at the time was 1.326 million. And it's all way due and prepared under, where is it? The PEFER, which is a party political elections referendum, it's the rules under which the party will go to register.
Are those widely accepted international rules, or do they just...
It's widely accepted international standards. Now, what happened was in 2021, of course, was an election. We'll go to stay in front. We'll go to be the biggest party in Scotland to be able to be a vehicle for independence. So apparently they spent some of that money, including on a battle bus. And he, as you know, in 2021, the Colin Beattie, the treasurer at the time, said, I will spend some of this money, but we've already said we're going to spend that exact amount on a referendum campaign.
David, can I stop you there? So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give these guys, if you like, a help in actually understanding what a company would do, right? So let's say that I had earmarked money to buy 5 new vans for my engineers, say, right? And what happened was that the company had to spend money on other things. It would be perfectly reasonable for me as the CEO to actually say, no, right, we'll deal with the here and now so that the company survives to get to the other bit, right? And we will promise, because that's all it is, we will promise to spend the money on those 5 vehicles at some time in the future.
Yeah, but so, you know, the political parties are not constituted as charities or as companies.
Yeah.
And they only have to prepare accounts according to the PPEFER. Right. Now, under the rules, they don't have to declare monies for other projects. They only have to declare monies for working capital. Now, at this point in time, I think 2021 the working capital was 97,000. 2020 the working capital was 260,000. But running into an election, you're spending money.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, and as we see, this Colin Beattie guy, he admitted back in 2021 that some of this money had been spent, and they would match it when it came to a referendum anyway. But first, they had to get there, and they win election.
This is going back to what we discussed at the last Two Davies, where I wrote down the word ring-fenced, because we had to get our heads around who said it, what did it mean, and what did it mean politically for the SNP. Well, we've just told you guys. We've just told you, and it's straightforward.
And as far as we can tell, the Electoral Commission, every set of books which have been written under international standards of accountancy, under the Electoral Commission's rules since 2017. Now, they've never failed an audit. They've never failed an audit.
So, and one other thing, David, you know, that we're talking about, and they can't get any accountants to come and audit the accounts.
They don't have accountant. They can go to Southern Ireland to get an accountant. I'm sure they get accountant they bother.
No, but do you know something? Yet again, that's gaslighting. That's gaslighting. I know accountants who would take your right arm off to have half a chance to blooming audit the accounts for a political party like the SNP. End of.
Anyway, they also decided to throw a rumour out there that the SNP's busted.
Yeah.
There's 70,000 regular contributors in the form of members, or 72. And we know they've been piling on members, and we're seeing posts going up left, right, and centre. I've made a donation of this, I've made a donation of that. Because when you go to the site to make a donation, you get a thank you. I mean, thank you for your donation. People have been screenshotting them, and they have been putting them out there. So we know that the SNP is not just piling on members at this point in time, they're piling on money.
Yeah.
And yet here we're being gaslighted by the British press telling us that they're going to go bust.
It's a huge...
They might be kicked off the electoral register and have to reform again, apparently.
Yeah,
it's a Scottish Independence Party, no less, which already exists. Shows you how little background work that these muppets in the press do.
I know.
And I believe that was a Spectator, was it? No.
No, it was the Independent.
The Independent.
Yeah.
It shows you how little they know of Scottish politics, that they don't know that the Scottish Independent Party already exists.
Yeah.
Oof.
Oh my goodness me! It's gut wrenching, that I know it is, but believe it or not, we can get through this. But we're just going to have to allow them to go and blab off any way they want to, because it doesn't matter what you say. These are the mainstream media. You're not going to fight the mainstream media unless you're prepared to go in and take over the BBC building at Pacific Quay or whatever, or in Manchester, right? You haven't got a chance.
I better put this one up, right? If you look at the 2021-22 SNP account, you'll find 610,000 in reserve account. We know that. And if you want to scroll down my timeline, I took it down because there's too many tabs open. You will find the auditor who did the books 2020-2021, and all the rules and what parties have to declare and don't have to declare. Generally, what you see in the financial statement, which is put out there by the Electoral Commission every year, is working capital. Nothing more, nothing less, because that's all the legal requirements there is. But if you want to have a look at the 2020, December 31st, 2020 balance sheet, it's on my timeline. Scrolling down, you will find it.
Yeah.
You know,
thanks, Alan.
So missing money is no missing, and they still haven't been able to come up with a crime. You know?
Yeah.
Because under Electoral Commission rules, if they want to spend the money that has been raised on something else, which they're not doing, they spend some of it to get them over the line to ensure that they stay in pole position to be the vehicle to take us to independence. The wee ginger Doug did a cracking article on this today. So he did. You know, where he goes through all this stuff, and then he gets to the Alpha Party, and he takes the same view as Stephen Kelly, as Scott Goes Pop. We've got to stick with the SNP because it is the only vehicle. Otherwise, it's another 10, 30 years. You know, and he talks about the celebration that they might get 5 MSPs in the poll, but that was a single poll and an outlier, you know, and it was done by YouGov. They're doing their very best to split the movement.
Nadeem Zahawi personally took his place in putting that one together, didn't he? YouGov.
And then we'll get Chris telling us he's upped his membership to £15 a month just to help out a wee bit. So, but they're really going hammers for tails to try and break the SNP as a political force. That's how scared they are.
Yeah.
And
what does that tell everybody, David? What should that tell everybody? If they are putting this amount of effort into trying to destroy the vehicle that will take us to independence, what should we do in response?
We should make sure it's serviceable and keep it on the road.
And make sure we actually pick up a new membership if we aren't a member.
Aye. If you aren't a member. And by the way, remember, you take Dean Halliday, for example, he'll be on Facebook watching this now. He's a member of both the Alpha Party and the SNP.
Nothing wrong with that.
You know,
nothing wrong with that at all. Yeah,
you can be members of both parties, but there's only one of them going to drive this vehicle to the end again.
That's right.
You know, the Alpha Party can get on board and help, or they can keep shouting for the heavens that something's been done here, right? They haven't A, proved the crime's been committed, and B, due process is innocent until found guilty of some sort of crime, which they haven't established a crime's been committed.
Yeah.
What's really interesting about this is it's once again the same as Mr. Salmon. It is trial by media. It's a bit like the tent outside Nicola Sturgeon's house, or the stock picture the BBC keeps using as a post at a SNP headquarters where they're carrying totes in, but there's no footage of anything coming out.
Yeah.
So you see them getting carry empty totes in. There's no footage later in the day of stuff being taken out in the headquarters. As far as I know, they didn't take nothing. But as we all know, they carry on at Nicola's. The information they're looking for is out there in the digital realm. You're not looking for bits of paper.
Yeah, Chris has actually just put up smells of the MI5 all over it, right? Do you know something? There's many people would go, blooming, here you go again, conspiracy theorists, right? We knew that MI5 were all over the 2014 referendum. We knew that for a fact. We knew that after the fact, right? And it would be stupid or silly to think that the MI5 didn't have their fingers in this.
If they didn't have their fingers in this, they would be doing their bloody job.
Correct.
There's no political party or a campaigning organisation in the UK which MI5 doesn't have its fingers in.
I mean, for example, who do you think the 77th Brigade is? Do you think they're a spin-off faction of the British Army? No, they are front and centre of British establishment. They are part of the British Army. They have a task. And it so happens, if you get in the way, they'll boot you out the way, right?
And by the way, folks, a lot of this crap you're seeing out there on social media is the 77 Brigade. A lot of people still think the 77 Brigade is a proper, is made up. It's no. Visit the Army's website, and the 77 Brigade is front and centre. They're advertising careers on throwing political organisations and gathering information by the military via social media.
Because that's nowadays what an army has to do. It's not just a case of lobbing a few missiles and driving tanks into the place or whatever, right?
It brings us to this alert that we're going to get in St George's Day.
I was glad.
This is to do with the software that Theresa May bought after Americans for GCHQ. The minute you answer that, they've got the backdoor keys to your phone.
Right. Can I suggest something here, just while we've mentioned that, right? I don't trust it. If all they wanted to do was make a noise, a signal that something's wrong and put up a message, they could do that without making you have to answer it. You have to acknowledge that you've received it. And that's what's got my hackles blooming standing up as high as they'll go. That's the reason why I'm telling people, get anything like that off your phone straight away. There is a way to switch it off.
The thing is, once that text arrives, if you do not answer the text shuts your phone down, you're no longer able to access your phone.
Correct.
And the reason for doing that is so that everybody has to answer it, and that way they'll get access to your phone.
I had another one of my friends actually say, well, I'm just going to switch my phone off. That's not sufficient, because what will happen is it'll still try to go through the same thing when it's switched back on again. It's to do with the keystrokes.
I do. There's a point being made in the comments that you can switch the facility app that allows these texts through. Yeah. I just don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
But there is, believe it or not, YouTube tutorials out there on how to do it.
Yeah. Go looking, go finding, and if you find something, if you find one of the tutorials that's really, really effective, stick it on my timeline or stick it on David's. All right.
I just I've got burner phones. I'm afraid anything with a SIM card and it's getting this one, Ginger.
It's my pet phone. I don't want to lose it and turn it into a burner phone.
Chris is going to dig up the information on the how to switch that function off and stick it onto your timeline.
Very good, Chris. Good man. That is your task if you choose to accept it. Anyway, right.
Anyway, I'm going to answer it. I want them to be able to see what I'm doing.
Ah, come on.
Aye, I'm going to answer it. Come on,
MI5 will go, it's him again.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start playing porn movies across the background of my phone all the time. All the young men and women down there in GCHQ will be battering into each other. Oh, keep it Queen, David.
Yes.
Hey, that's definitely a way to distract all the young people at GCHQ. They'll all be watching my phone. You guys will be able to do whatever you want.
Yeah. Let's get this thing off our phones. It is not to be trusted. If they just wanted to make a noise and put up a text saying there's a Russian nuclear missiles on their way to Scotland, you've got 2 minutes, kiss your ass goodbye, right? Fine, okay, that's all right. But it's the fact that you've got to acknowledge it. And that's where the tricky stuff comes in. It's the acknowledging that we shouldn't trust.
Right, let's move on to Suella Braverman, who is likely to lose her job shortly, shall we? Over racist dolls.
I get some bloody tissue paper. She's going to lose her job. No.
Anyway, to putting the boot into Muslim men and calling them the main cause of paedophile rings, actually it's no 26 people in the UK who are responsible for the most of this sort of stuff are all white, believe it or not. You can Google it. But anyway, Suella makes her attack just after a Muslim man becomes First Minister of Scotland.
Yeah.
You know, but just to make matters worse, as you know, a Baroness Wazzy, or Lady Wazzy, or whatever they call her, has just released a report into racism into the Conservative Party. She is a Conservative peer. She was asked to undertake it. Anyway, the findings are horrendous. You know, 52% of the public think the Conservative Party is racist.
Yeah, well, we remember back at the time that they were trying to elect a new Prime Minister, right? Rishi Sunak and that woman, Lassie Truss, were both after the job. And who were the people that were going to elect them? We're talking that the members of the Conservative Party, 120,000 of them wasn't it? Where the majority of them were ex-UKIP, and they were over 70 or 70 years of age. Who the hell do you think they were going to vote for?
Anyway, but as if it's no bad enough making false allegations against the general, an ethnic minority within the UK, to then go on and make an absolute mug of yourself dolls, racist dolls.
Yes.
And this is the point where the Tory MPs started to turn on her. Yep. So it could be that Sunak will now have enough in the tank and enough support to get shot here.
Yeah.
You know. But telling the police that they shouldn't be investigating a coloured doll who's being lynched in a pub in Essex, basically being displayed as being lynched. The guy who owns the pub claims not to be a racist, but apparently he's put tweets out there saying this is how they used to date in Minnesota, with pictures of his lynched racist doll. I'm trying my best not to say gollywog, you know.
You just said it, right? Okay.
I know, but you know, he's also been seen wearing a Britain First T-shirt. Now, you don't get much more racist than that. He's also put out posts that say white lives matter and things like that. But as far as I'm concerned, all lives matter. But, I mean, imagine this could be the final blow in Suella Braverman's coffin. Never mind Rwanda. Yeah. Never mind the lefty lawyers. Never mind the Muslim men are all paedophile crap coming out of it. Never mind the small boats rubbish. No. Never mind the undermining of human rights when you bill to criminalise arriving here looking for asylum. Never mind all that disgusting stuff. No, gollywogs.
And to think that they were the most natural thing in the world as a kid growing up in the 60s.
Oh, all right.
Robinson's Jam.
Robinson's Jam,
you know, and you used to be able to send away so many lids to get one of these dolls.
To get the doll. But when you're a kid, David, kids are no, they don't know the history behind it.
Yeah, there's no hatred in a child.
No.
A kid has to be educated, has to be radicalized, right, in order to think that way, right?
I mean, that's like, but you've got to remember, that's what we've been thrown into your heads when we were kids.
Yeah.
And it was coming through the television set at us.
Yes.
Adverts for Robertson's way, gollywog on the jam.
Yeah. And then after the advert, with Alf Garnett.
We also had Sid James and Love Thy Neighbour. And the one that when I look back on the most, which shocks me the most, and it was a long-running programme, the Black and White Minstrel Show.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, you see, I find it difficult. I mean, being a white man, right, I find it difficult to find how these people must have thought about that. They maybe got off the boat or the plane, come from another part of the world, and what they saw on TV was basically putting them down.
That is, in the south, sort of like Birmingham South.
Yeah.
You know, the racist attitude was towards the coloured people.
Yeah.
Here in Scotland and in Liverpool, especially, when we didn't have a lot of coloured people come. Yeah. It was the Irish that goes in.
Aye. Yeah. Right.
We were being taught through our television sets and our education system to be racist. Yeah. And we were taught under the auspice of the white man's great, the empire.
Yeah.
You know, thank God for the latest enlightenment.
Well, the majority of us have grown up, right? We've grown up as regards any form of racism. We've grown up also in terms of any stuff towards the gay community or whatever, right? And, you know, come on, we're bigger than this, guys. We don't need this, right? And yet, there are people that are still managing to get into the mainstream media and pushing their racist drivel.
It's the culture war. The Tories know they can't win on infrastructure, because let's face it, look at a Crossrail, look at HS2. They didn't track for HS2 yet. Yeah. Look at the state of the road networks. Yeah, so they can't run on infrastructure, or they can't run the economy because they're crash-based. They're crash-based. You know, they can't run. In fact, you get right down here, the only thing left for them to run on is a culture war. Yeah. You know, so every minority that can be picked on will be picked on. It's a case of look over there, that's the bad guy. And we've seen it with poverty, what we call poverty porn on the telly and all. Thankfully, they've stopped that for a time being. Things like poverty benefits and things like that. See the Charles on that one.
Well, you know, if you think about that, right? A decade or so ago, we actually had Boys for the Black Staff and all that sort of stuff, right? And it was creating poverty porn when you think about it. It was, you know, like trying to get you to accept that there were lower human beings out there. There aren't lower human beings. There's just human beings.
That's right. We're all born equal.
You know, and it's like, as far as that's concerned, I will fight for somebody like that to give them their position, their dignity that they are entitled to.
Aye. When we talk about institutional racism here in the UK, we're not just talking against we're talking about all ethnic minorities or no English, actually. We're talking about the Scots, the Irish, the Welsh,
yeah,
Indian people, African people, Caribbean people, Asian people. You go straight across the spectrum, and all the UK institutions are institutionally racist.
Also, can I tell you having lived in England for 18 years, 19, oh, more than that, in fact, right? That always, the English had as their point of direction. If they lived in Herefordshire, which is the place next to Wales, yeah, so just across the border was Wales, right? They hated the Welsh, absolutely detested them, right? But the people that they took the piss out of all the time were people from Liverpool.
Aye.
And a lot of them took a lot of time to put together this comedic Liverpool voice so they could tell jokes and all the rest. It's ridiculous. The people of Liverpool are great, brilliant people.
You remember the people of Liverpool don't consider themselves English at all.
Yeah.
They consider themselves different. But I want to address this one. What about the non-reporting of major radiation leaks at MOD Coalport because they are scared it would boost the independence polling? Is health and safety and well-being of Scots not more important? No, to these people, it's no, David.
That's right. Yeah.
No, to these people, it's no. In fact, it's a bloody scandal. The Home Office is no or the MOD are no releasing that information to us. You know, absolutely scandalous. But as you know, Westminster
hang on, David. One major fact. See any of the submarines that are actually driven by a nuclear pile. So in other words, they use that just to move it forward and create electricity inside the submarine or the rest of it, right? Each one of those submarines takes in water
and discharges
from the Clyde and then pumps it through the coolant system and pumps it back out again. When it gets back out into the water again, it's laced with, what's it called again? Something is it cadmium 60, cobalt 60, right? And also the nukes that are kept inside the hillside, they produced tritium. And tritium is another thing that can either exist either as a liquid or as a gas. It's more likely to be a liquid.
So
and that's seeping into your land right the way around there, right? Why do you think we've got the Beatson Clinic, which is the #1 cancer clinic in Europe, in Glasgow?
Aye. Makes a lot of sense, really. The amount of years that they've been spilling this piss into the waters around Scotland. Yeah. And of course, as we just discussed, it's dripping radioactive liquid into the water courses because it'll seep through the hills, it'll make its way out the caves, and it'll make its way into the water.
I mind speaking to a family. I went for a drive up by and met a family, and they were all older, you know. But there was it 5 brothers? 3 of them were dead from cancer because the 2 that was left with their kids and all the rest of talking to me, the 2 that were left didn't go swimming in the Clyde, but the other 3 brothers went swimming. And they reckon it was actual swimming in the Clyde round about Coalport that was the problem.
It's certainly no place I'd want to go swimming. That's for sure.
No, but they did before the boats were there, before the submarines were there. So to them, it was a place where they went skinny dipping or whatever. You know what I mean? So, you know.
Of course, it's a beautiful area. One day you tempted, didn't you?
Yeah.
But you know, as I say, you know, the fact that they won't release the information tells us that there's something not right.
That's right. Yeah. And yet again, here we are, people of Scotland. We put up with it. We keep quiet because we don't want to create a stooshy. Well, let's create a bloody stooshy. How's about it?
Well, CND's been creating a stooshy for years, so it's not going to say they want to have the soil.
Yeah.
It should be respected and moved.
Yeah.
If this was a partner of equals, our voice saying not in our name and not in our land should be heard.
Yeah.
But as I say, Westminster is institutionally racist. And it's against everybody who's non-white, non-English, and non-imperialist. Simple as that. Mm-hmm. And we see that at Prime Minister's questions week in, week out, when the SNP representatives get up to speak It's a case of shut up, job, get back in your box. Even when it came to the big truth, you know, that we aren't subsidised and there will be great resources, acknowledged by Dominic Raab, was a case of that's why we think we should have your resources. That was his answer. That's why we think as a superior race that we're better husbanding your resources. There was racist connotations in his answer.
We question for you, David. Do you think if Putin decided to point a few nukes, they reckon 3 nukes for the coal port fast lane area would be Russia's choice, according to the Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament, right? Do you think they would actually set off the beepers in people's phones?
Probably just to enjoy the fact that we wouldn't be there alive 4 or 5 minutes later.
How are we going to accept that we've had how are we going to accept we've had this beep on our phones if we're not there to do it? Wouldn't that be dreadful?
Aye. Stephen's put a video up that tells us how to switch the alert charm off. I'm going to go looking for it, as I say. I think Chris is going to pop it up in the timelines, David, so we'll be able to follow the instructions.
Thank you.
The information is probably different for Android and Apple, so go to YouTube and you'll find it for Android or Apple. Just put in whatever you want.
Well, what I'll do is I'll put it up across all of the groups that we're involved in, and I'll ask people to share on from there, because I think this is really important. There's something about this that I'm going, this doesn't feel right. If they just wanted to put up a warning system, yeah, I mean, I've done it for my job, putting in evacuation systems or bomb evacuation system for BT, right? And you don't have to have people accepted that they've heard the thing. What's the point in doing that?
The point is to get access to your phone.
Yes, well, all right, David, but I'm trying to get them to come up with the answer themselves. Yeah?
I'm sure they know the same and all. Anyway, folks, there's a way to turn this alert off, so if you don't want this alert through your phone, find out how to switch it off. I'm going to tell you, come on in. I'm a Scottish Republican. I'm pro-independence. I'm a nationalist to my toe, and I'm a political activist. Come and watch me, MI5. You can leave everybody else alone.
We're here.
Muppets. Right, and
David, I'll tell you what. Why don't we phone the MI5 after the show in Glasgow and see if we can take an office inside the MI5, and they can provide us with like broadband, really good broadband, and we'll do the Two Davies for there. We'll go. Yeah.
But mental so it is. So as I say, I'm going to accept it. I'm going to say, come and watch me. I'll get these off.
I'm no. I'm getting it off my phone, I'll tell you.
Aye, that's the way, Rosemary, that's the way the SNP has been portrayed as the Scottish Sinn Féin.
Yeah, Gaff's
my gaff's probably bugged already. Aye, it is. Don't worry about it. Yeah, you still sit outside the bloody house.
This is something that came up in one of my posts the other day there, and they were on, for fuck's sake.
Hey, Joy's a live television, folks. David
No, this is something that came up the other day there about the bugs in Nicola and Peter's home, you know.
Aye.
And it said, they'll need to get it swept for bugs. And they'll go, you can't sweep for bugs nowadays. Because what they do is, at least at the time that I was messing about it, so this is probably out of date, right? What the bugs did was you turned up in a van 2 streets away and you put out a white noise pulse. That switches them on and also powers the bug for 5 minutes, right? So effectively, if you go in with a sweeper, you're going to find nothing at all because they're not actually switched on doing anything, right? They probably have a sweeper now where it gives out white noise and it will power them, right? I don't know. That's the bit I don't know. But interesting. Who thought of the idea? The Russians.
Aye.
Clever people. Don't ever underestimate the Russians.
Brian Cunningham, Alexa, tell him I vowed to D1. Brilliant. Right, and Sunak doubles down on a NHS privatisation. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Well, I'll play it.
It's just it annoys me that this man is allowed to talk about the NHS. He's got Hunt, that is, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, and when he previously was the Health Secretary, he's the guy that helped write a book about privatising the NHS. The guy who was the Chancellor.
Let's hear the video, yeah?
Yeah, go on then, go for it.
There's no copyright in this one either, by the way.
Yeah.
Cutting the waiting list is one of my priorities. There's lots of different ways we're doing that, but it's about doing things differently. It's about reform. It's about using the private sector more, the independent sector. That's something that we actually should be very comfortable with. Ultimately, if the patient is still getting the care they need, free at the point of use, we shouldn't be so hung up on who's providing it. We should be using the independent sector to provide choice, to provide competition, drive up quality. It's worked in the past.
So,
well, let me ask you a question. All right.
Aye.
I've got enough field just down the road from me, just along for the Garten Navel. You go up there and you turn left. I've been there and I've actually had a scan done, right? Where does the Nuffield get its staff from? And I'm not talking about your cleaners or nursing. What they do is they get doctors, consultants, and all the rest of it who double the duty. They do an NHS shift, and what they'll do is they'll go and do a few hours at the Nuffield, right? So when Rishi Sunak is talking about using the private sector more, all he's talking about is doing what they're doing right now.
But what was interesting was the straight out lie.
Yeah.
That they've used the private sector in the past and it works. No, it doesn't. Absolutely everything they privatised become a mess.
No, but the reason it doesn't work is because it doesn't take any load off. What you're thinking of is you've got this amount of patients, right?
Yeah.
And you've got this amount of resource.
Yeah.
And you're thinking that if we bring in the private sector, that's going to create another resource over here that they can actually feed in. No, it's no. It's both the same.
And what happens is, of course, the funding flees from the NHS to the private sector because in England the system's different. The cash follows the patient. Simple as that.
You send the patient to a private health unit, then what happens is the money goes to that private health unit, and the NHS hospital that would have had the good of that money does not get it.
And of course, when they privatise the English NHS, because there's no consequentials to keep the Scottish NHS going, so you're forced down the same road.
Yeah.
And of course, as we've seen with their anti-democratic moves under the internal market bill so far, and we're expecting another Section 35 order on the deposit return scheme, we're seeing democracy being eroded as well. So,
just going back to the NHS thing, right?
Yeah.
Just a couple of weeks ago, we were reporting on the lies coming through the mainstream media regarding the breakup of the NHS, the English NHS, how it was all going wrong, right? It's gone quiet. It's gone strangely quiet.
It's also went strangely quiet on the state of the NHS here in Scotland. And I thought, hold on a minute, I was listening to BBC Radio Scotland on Tuesday. Now, when A&E was backlogged, severely backlogged, every week, every Tuesday, the figures were read out. Disaster, 52%, 64%. Now we're back up at 76%, 80% of people being seen in the 4 hour time.
Yep.
It's all quite quiet over there. You know?
Yep.
So they're all went quiet. All of a sudden, we're not getting the weekly figures released to you. So I went and had a look. And some areas are doing better through the NHS Trust. Some are doing better than others. The islands are all up to 90-odd%. The worst one, believe it or not, the worst two is a Forth Valley, where they're in Falkirk, Larva, and a Forth Valley NHS Trust and a North Lanarkshire NHS Trust are doing the worst.
Okay.
In a Forth Valley for last week, I think the figure was 54.1% being seen in the 4 hours. You know, that's pretty poor. And here I think it's
all right, okay, I'll ask you a simple question, just an opinion, David. All right, what's the solution? How do we improve on what we've already got?
Obviously, you need more funds. That's social independence. That way, you can print your own money. You can put funds in. And the last thing, David, let's talk about because I've just seen it here from Mark Telfer. Let's talk about the CTPTTP.
Oh, you're right. Okay, right. Say it twice.
CTTP.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to talk about what a bad deal it is. Yeah. I want to talk about the fact that we've left one trading bloc which we claim would be controlling our trade and controlling our sovereignty, and we had a referendum to do that.
Yeah.
But on the CTPP, anyway, on the CTP, right? Where's the referendum in giving up our sovereignty to join it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
when we joined the EU, there had to be a referendum to ratify the UK going into the EU. Where's the referenda to ratify the UK joining the CTPTTP?
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Let's just call it a Trans-Pacific deal for now on.
Yeah. Easier. To be honest with you, David, it's like this is something we've seen coming down the line a long, long way, right? And you know, it was going to be the Americans that
were going to rescue us. That's
right. And to be honest with you, the idea that you could have a partnership set up whereby if a country that you were in partnership with could actually look at a deal and go, that's no right. We didn't win that. We didn't win that particular contract. So letting the company that bid for the contract, let them take us to court and win.
Aye.
You know, and where we've got to go and cough up an awful lot of money because they didn't win the contract.
Aye.
Where's the right in that?
That's the whole idea, that these secretive courts of arbitration. It's not even, and it's done corporately. It's not even done with, you know.
But we're all talking about patriots here in England.
Oh,
I'm a patriot. What patriot put that together?
But as I say, it's the fact that when we were joining a single market, because that's what it was at the time, or the common market, there was a referendum to take us in.
That's right.
A referendum to take us out. Now, where's the referendum to take us into this trade pact?
There isn't. You know.
Where's the people say?
Yeah, but what's happening is that your Tories are basically going, well, we're in power, so we're making this decision, we're doing this. Because our party would ever like it, you know.
That's what they're calling it. They're calling it the Conservative toilet paper deal. And they're all telling us it was 0.8% was improving GDP over X amount of years. But they hadn't factored in transport.
Yeah.
Getting stuff halfway around the world.
Yeah.
You know. And I looked at all the calculations out there with the OBR and things like that on what this deal was going to be worth. I'm going, what about the cost to business to get the stuff to the other side of the fucking planet.
Yeah, but don't forget, David, we've got to make this fair, unbiased, right? Okay. Before we joined the common market, we did get a lot of stuff from New Zealand. We got New Zealand lamb, I remember, right? Yeah, that's right. That's right. So when you look at that, there was a fairness about it, but we did provide an awful lot going the other way. Whereas the way this looks now, this blooming trade partnership that we've got going that way, it's all against us. We've got a tiny that we're going to gain in it. That's it.
Oh, don't get started on carbon footprints, Larry. I mean, that lot doing that road, investing heavily in fossil fuels, nuclear, shite in the water, they don't give a damn about the environmental crisis.
Yeah.
They've all got enough money to jump in their wee planes to their private islands, which will be uncontaminated.
Yeah.
Well, the rest is will die. They don't give a damn. They've got their boat holes already selected. Believe me, they'll go all week. But the Conservative Party doing that road definitely have no green credentials. I mean, they were supposed to get their water courses sorted out by 2027, being kicked into the long grass, something like 2067 now. We've got 7 years left to avert a catastrophic breakdown of ecosystems. Yeah. And this is the way they're behaving. They don't give a shit about the children's future.
If anybody can lead me to where I can buy a hacksaw big enough to blow in hacksaw England from Scotland's arse, then please tell me, and I'll go and get it, and we'll have a go at it.
Quite happy to dig a channel doing a cruise above the right now. 2 miles wide and don't allow any bridges.
We'll float away.
But we can't really do that because what will happen is the North Sea and English Channel meet and all that shite to do there will flow in. But they really need to get a grip down there. They really need to get a grip.
The truth of it, David, is they are not. And neither are Labour. Labour, if you imagine Labour, the high Hegians, Starmer and those round about them, right? They're going to do what the Tories are doing, right? But then somebody's going to say, what about the climate change and all the rest of it? Labour are going to do bugger all about it. They're going to talk about it lots, but they're not actually going to do anything about it.
Ginger's giraffe. Bugs Bunny did that with Florida. He cut it off and it floated away. But hey, I mean, if you take Starmer, he's a Tory on the back. And what they're doing right now is they're not preparing people for a change of the way we're governed, or policy, actually.
Yeah.
What they're preparing people for is continuity.
Yes.
Starmer's not going to change the welfare system and reintroduce the safety net. Starmer's not going to build social housing.
Yeah.
Starmer's going to walk in the door, have a look at the books and say, going to carry on as normal. And when you look at the big policies, it's supposed to be the big issues in there, which is now, of course, the cost of living crisis. It's people in small boats, apparently.
Yeah.
So Brexit, immigration, all the same policies, nothing. Benefits. He's also said that there will be continued austerity. Starmer is offering nothing to nobody. But England wants to change, so we'll get red Tories next.
And all the bills, the legislation that's coming about stopping people from protesting. Do you think for a minute, for a Spanish minute, that Starmer is going to unravel that legislation?
Oh, hell.
He'll be fine. Oh, we'll get to it someday. Idiot.
Why, it is going to be Groundhog Day when Starmer wins, because he's not preparing the English people for change. He's preparing them for continuity governance. But I don't suppose they've noticed. And Stephen's right. The two-horse race in England is a huge political problem.
Of course it is. Yeah. The duopoly.
It's a huge political problem for the whole of the UK. Yeah. But as I say, that you couldn't put a flag paper between Starmer and the Tories at this point in time.
Yeah.
And he's preparing the people of England. He's saying there'll be continued austerity. He said they'll be tackling this people in small boats. I don't know how he's going to do it without rejoining the EU and getting the Dublin Agreement back in place. You know, economic policy is the same. Get Britain going, make Britain great again. But it's all Trump-esque. It's not just populism. And Labour's slide to the right is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Especially for people like you and I, David, who are left-leaning. You know, you're even merrier socialist than I am.
Well, I used to vote Labour when I was doing England, because that's basically all I had. I couldn't vote Lib Dem. I couldn't vote, definitely not vote Tory, right? I'd one of them living in the house with me. Oh my goodness me, I smiled the day I divorced her. Anyway, that's another matter.
Aye, Labour, do you think they're going to get a bounce out of the change of leadership at the top of the SNP? Poland doesn't bear that out.
Are they hell?
Poland doesn't bear that out.
We're gonna make sure that that's not the case.
And the court of public opinion might have been able to pass judgment negatively on Mr. Salmon, rightly or wrongly. But that's not the reaction we're seeing to how Nicola's been treated. This is a woman that made sure less Scots died during the pandemic and still the party's making sure less people die here in Scotland than there is in the rest of the UK.
Yeah, I mean, I saw plenty of posts throughout social media in Scotland that basically called Nicola Sturgeon the mother of Scotland.
Aye.
Right, that's pretty special when somebody gets, considered as that. And as far as I'm concerned, quite rightly so, Nicola has got a good heart. And it's like anybody that's blooming putting up this shite that I'm seeing at the moment, it's like, seriously, shut up.
But, I mean, did these actually think that people were going to turn on them?
Yeah.
This is a woman that didn't do the things that the Bam Potts in Westminster did. She went in front of us every single bloody day in 2020 to try and keep us all safe.
Yeah.
And she carried that on until the establishment down that road tell the BBC and the mainstream media to stop it.
That's right. Yeah.
Otherwise, they're saying it went on doing it.
Yeah.
But she actually cares about the people.
Yeah.
And I see all this crap that's being smeared all over the place, and I don't think it's going to work this time.
Yeah.
I really don't. I think the pro-independent side will get a bounce. I think the SNP will get a bounce. Yeah. In fact, we already know they're going to. In fact, me Ginger Doug was talking about it in his article. So if you haven't read it, have a wee look at me Ginger Doug.
Well, and my suggestion for a speaker on the 6th of May at the March and Rally is, can we have Meghan Markle, please?
And I was going to do me Ginger Doug.
She's not been allowed to go to the Big Ears blooming coronation, is she? So therefore,
I would like to see more ordinary activists being given the speaker spots as the MPs and ordinary people who are interested in uniting the clans and going forward.
Yeah.
Because the toxic environment being created out there, and mostly it's been created by the 77 Brigade, like yourself, David, there is a small minority of people out there in Bayside for Alpha and the SNP who are just too stupid to realise that they're being wound up.
Yeah. Do understand, guys. Do understand that the 77th Brigade. That's their job, is to actually come on and rain on your parade, right? So as far as that's concerned, don't waste time in them. Just block them. And then get on with it. Yeah.
Talk about the time. We're 5 minutes out and my coffee cup's empty.
Oh, how dare we?
No, listen, we've had a lot to talk about today. We've had a lot to cover, folks. I hope you find it interesting. We hope you found it informative. There was one last story if we've got 5 minutes, David. Dairy.
Go on then. Go for it.
Okie dokie. Let's batter this one up. Where are we? Going to the share. This one's quite interesting.
Sorry, DJ Martin's put up, where's the best place to park my car close? It's finishing up at the Green, isn't it? Glasgow Green again, yeah?
No, I think it's going to Square this time, but the best place is still doing it is in a big car park, the NEC car park.
NEC car park, yeah.
Brexit, this one. Let's stick this one.
And don't forget to go on to share a car for Indy. There are lots of people that don't have access to a car, and at the moment it's even public transport's getting a bit heavy, but they would be able to contribute to you so that if you've got a couple of spare seats going to the event, then you'll be able to share your car, and maybe they'll
apparently it's finished at Glasgow Green, so you definitely want to be in the NEC car park there if you can. Anyway, this one, just to finish off, Brexit, a big factory company snubbing London for New York, says senior economist.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to see any more of that to be able to cover it.
Yeah, fairly straightforward. Oh, you're gone. David's gone. Oh, hell. What do I do now? Well, anyway, guys, what to do is, if you haven't subscribed to us, please subscribe. And also, don't forget to smash the like key if you liked us. If you didn't like us, I don't care, right? Oh, here he is. And he's on the wrong side.
David, we're going to have to end it there anyway, and I hope that we haven't lost this whole video because something just shut my computer down.
Is that right?
Aye, everything just went off there.
Right.
And it was very short. I think it was a power surge.
Whilst we've been talking, I've had umpteen requests from my computer to shut down and restart.
Well, that's interesting because something just shut mine down. I hope we haven't lost the whole video. I just hope we haven't lost the whole video, David. As far as I can tell, the stream was still running. So if you were still on screen, that's good.
Yeah, I was still on screen, so I don't know. Maybe that held it. Okay.
As I say, something got me out there. Anyway, we better, never mind. We'll scrap that story because let's face it, we all know that finance is free and companies are rather registering in the Paris or New York Stock Exchange rather than the London Stock Exchange. Okay. Anyway,
I've done the subscription bit. I've done the smash the like key. The only thing still to do is if you're going to share it from Facebook, wait until after a few minutes after the actual broadcast stops. That gives David time to actually make it public. Otherwise, you would try to put something up that's going to say it doesn't exist. All right.
Not available. And remember, folks, if you're in the Central Belt, Saturday, 22nd of April, I think there's still some tickets for the ND2 Cafe charity night. You can contact Agnes Kerr at the cafe.
Me and him are going to be there. We're going to be jigging, you know.
Well, that's the plan. The other thing we're going to announce is that the Two Davies Friday this week. I'll put a notification up on YouTube. I don't know how it works with Facebook, but if you go to the YouTube channel, you'll now see that in today's broadcast there was a thing saying notify me. There was an advert up on YouTube where you can press notify me in the next broadcast. And after this one, I'll put another notification out for the people on YouTube where they can hit notify, and that'll let them know Friday. And what time we're going on Friday?
We'll make it 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock as usual. Right.
Yeah.
This week.
The reason for this is my fault. It's I'm going to lose the power in my house for the Thursday, for the main time Thursday, and it's purely and simply to get my smart meter checked out. And depending on what they actually bring up, I'll be writing to you and I'll let you know about it because this has been a complaint I put into Octopus Energy, and we'll see what comes through. All right.
Okay, so I just lose one thing left today, David.
Bye, Davey. Bye, guys.
Bye, Davey. Bye, guys. Thanks for joining us.